Well, Jimmy Johnson, I've said this before. There's been a handful of people in my life. When I used to do the weekend shows at Fox, I would hurry up and get the makeup on. And then I would go into the break room, and I would basically pester Jimmy Johnson for 30 minutes, asking about pulling guards and slot receivers. And Jimmy Johnson would patiently answer all my minutia and nonsense. And he is joining us now live, the Hall of Famer, the two-time Super Bowl champ. So I owe you a debt of gratitude as I ask you about rover backs and nickel coverage and dime coverage, and you would smile at me impatiently as I sat there eating food and asking. And I just want to say thank you for that. Even in your off season, you're willing to come on the show. So a thank you, a genuine thank you from me, Jimmy.
Well, thank you, Colin. And as you know, probably the most fun I've ever had in my career, and that's counting Super Bowls and national championships, was at Fox Sports. I have an absolute ball with my friends on the set, and the best friends I've ever had there with Fox. And then I tell you, on top of that, I love working for Eric Shanks, our CEO, and our producer, Bill Richards. But I've made an extremely difficult decision. I've been thinking about it for the last 4 or 5 years, and I've decided to retire from Fox. And I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss all the guys, and I'll see them occasionally. But it has been a great run starting back 31 years ago.
It's being met. I got a call this weekend from Shanks. And this is something inside the building. We knew it was coming over the last couple of years, and they've talked you into it. One of the ways you are viewed in the building is the way you were viewed as a football coach. You're kind of the general manager and the coach of the show. Otherwise, Bradshaw, he'll never stop talking. And, basically you have to coach the guys on the set. But and don't be humble for a second. I think you loved that. Is that you viewed that's how we viewed you. You were the coach on the set behind the scenes. And if you could, for a moment, share that with the audience, why you love that.
Well, I guess it goes back to all the years that I coached. And you look at the guys on the set, not only are they best friends, but, I watched Terry play in college when he was at Woodlawn High School, and we recruited him for Louisiana Tech. I coached Howie Long in the blue-gray game when he just left Villanova. I had Michael Strahan, there in Dallas, and I was going to draft him, and he reminds me of it many, many times. And when it was a mistake, I was trying to get him cheap, and New York jumped in front of me, so I wasn't able to draft him. I actually had a scout in his home on draft day. And so we're all very, very close. And Kurt Menefee he was in Dallas when I was in Dallas. And so it was just natural for me to be somewhat of a coach. And Bill Richards, who, I love to death, he kiddingly calls me assistant producer, because I would have suggestions on what to do on maybe our on the field segment, etc. So I just kind of played the same role that I played for many, many years as a head football coach.
Jimmy, there's a handful of people that have done it, none better than you. You were a dominant college coach. That's hard. Then you were a dominant NFL coach. I think that's harder. You were also then, you're a Hall of Famer, broadcasting Hall of Famer. They're all hard. How are you able... College coaching and pro coaching is different. Now, it's a little more similar now than it was in your day. Was there ever a moment, you're a Hall of Famer, football broadcasting college. Do guys like you ever have self-doubt? Was there ever a moment in Dallas, that first year, you thought, I've been asked to chew. I'm not sure if I bit off too much.
Colin, absolutely not. I can tell you the story, and Dave Wanstead and Tony Wise, they can verify this. When I was at Oklahoma State University, I went to a little restaurant, and we were struggling. I said, guys, hang with me. We're going to win a national championship. And we were at Ancestor Restaurant, and we ended up winning a national championship at University of Miami because I took all of them with me. And we were going through that 1 in 15 year. We went to a little Mexican restaurant right there close to Valley Ranch. And I told the guys, I said, listen, I said, we're making some moves now that are going to hurt us in the short term. We traded our starting quarterback. We cut the leading receiver because he couldn't play the caliber that we wanted. And we made some trades, obviously trading Herschel Walker, but we made 51 trades in 5 years. And I told the guys, I said, listen, I know it's a real struggle right now, but you hang with me because we're going to win a Super Bowl. And that's it. I mean, I might have sounded like a crazy man because we were going 1 in 15. But I said, we're making some moves now that are going to help us 3 years from now. And so you say, was there any doubt? No, there wasn't any doubt. And it wasn't that we had a dream. And I said this at the Hall of Fame induction. We didn't dream. We truly believed that we were going to get it done. I think if you believe that you're going to get it done, you work to make it happen. If you dream, you're hoping that it happens. But we work to make sure it happened.
You know, I think more than ever, coach and quarterback, I've always said this, if you get the coach right and the quarterback right, everything else will work itself out. You'll figure it out. I've said Sean Payton and Bo Nix. I got Sean, I got Bo Nix. I don't know what's going to happen if they win trophies, but they're going to be fine in Denver. They're going to be fine. But quarterbacks now make $70 million, $60 million. They're social media stars, shoe deals. You didn't deal with that, but I still contend that the Andy Reids and the Paytons and the guys like you just make it work. I look at you and Troy. Troy gets emotional when you got into the Hall of Fame. I'm watching that. That makes me emotional. What was the relationship even then? Because Troy was getting banged up. He was getting criticized. Quarterbacks go 1 in 15. They don't, Dallas media was not giving you guys a pass. How did your relationship get so tight, or was it always like that?
No, it wasn't always right. I actually tried to recruit Troy to Oklahoma State there in Henrietta, Oklahoma. I was in his home when he was a sophomore and junior. And Troy was just here at the house 2 weeks ago. We had a strained relationship that first year because I drafted Steve Walsh with a supplemental pick, and I knew Troy was our guy, but I wanted to take Steve Walsh because quarterbacks are so valuable. I knew that I would be able to trade him. I actually started trying to trade Steve Walsh a month or two after I drafted him. But I had to kind of walk a tight rope because I couldn't brag on Troy knowing that I was going to trade Steve Walsh. So I had to kind of brag on both of them. I kept saying we got 2 quarterbacks, but I knew exactly what I was going to do. And then I ended up trading Walsh for a 1, 2, and a 3. But that upset Troy that I didn't go all in on him that first year. But after the first year, then, I started making overtures to Troy to get our relationship better. And like I said, we're best friends now. He was just here 2 weeks ago. So, again, it was a strained relationship because of the way we were dealing with things. Plus, we went 1 in 15. That'll strain any relationship. But it got better, and now it's fantastic.
Bill Belichick, I remember when he left New England, I think he was grateful for Bob Kraft. But in the end, richer owners now, Jimmy, they're all billionaires. And the richer owners they'll just run. 50 million's a rounding error. They'll just blow out his staff. I have never seen more impulsive owners in my life in the NFL. There used to be one crazy guy or two. Now it feels like half the league's owners think they're coaches. And when Belichick left, he acknowledged that. You had relationships that may have been impulsive, but you turned it into championships. Do you think it's harder to coach today? I mean, there's a lot of ways it could be easier, but the owners, Jimmy, they're all billionaires, and that has a way of making owners think they know a lot more football than they do.
Yeah, I think it's more difficult with the owners, but what makes it a lot easier is if you got a great quarterback.
Right.
If you got a great quarterback, that you can overcome a lot of things. But you're talking about billions of dollars, and Jerry and our relationship was fine for a while because he borrowed $140 million. He was trying to pay off that loan. So he spent all of his time trying to make money to pay off the loan. So he really didn't bother me. Now, once he got the loan paid off after we won the first Super Bowl, then he wanted to jump in the football business.
Right.
But yeah, I think the relationship with Bill and Kraft probably was a little strained there at the end. I told Bill, in fact, he came down here right after he left New England with his girlfriend, and I was talking to him, and I said, yeah, the NFL stuff, but college football with the NIL and the transfer portal, that's a headache. He said, yeah, but there's headaches in the pro football as well.
Yeah. When you ultimately made this decision, if you just joined us, Jimmy Johnson has announced his retirement from Fox. You kept coming back, and we talked into it about 4 different times.
Right.
That's the truth. And there are people in the hallway this morning that are a little melancholy about all this. How do you hope? I mean, you achieved everything. 3 different Hall of Fames. How do you hope you're viewed?
How do I?
I mean, how do you? Obviously, you're successful. You're successful at 3 different Hall of Fames. What matters? If I'd never met Jimmy Johnson, I walked up to somebody and said, hey, tell me about Jimmy Johnson. What, at a value level, what matters to Jimmy Johnson? Why? What? Your relationships?
The guys that were here, like I said, a couple of weeks ago, some of my former coaches and Troy and, players, et cetera. They were talking about it. I said, the thing I try to do is I try to bring out the best in everybody. Everybody that I came into contact with. And I tried to have some interaction. The way you bring out the best in people is you have interaction with them. You communicate with them. The biggest problems I ever had with anybody is when I didn't communicate. And that's what happened to Jerry and I on our relationship until it got fixed here later on, is we stopped communicating. And it never gets better if you don't talk about it. It never gets better if you don't interact and not necessarily pumping somebody up and praising them, but just acknowledging them, and saying, hey, you need to pick it up a little bit, maybe in a kidding way, but you need to have some interaction with individuals. But I tried to bring out the best in everybody that I came into contact with. I don't care what their role was. I don't care how important they were. I don't care if they were a Hall of Fame player or an intern on our set. I tried to bring out the best in everybody.
How are you going to watch football next year and not send Eric Shanks written notes on email about things he needs to tweak?
Colin, I've got 3 TVs set up, and you know how much I love watching football. Terry Bradshaw, he told me that day before yesterday, he said, "Guy, you're going to be able to sit at home and watch all those college games without me, and you're going to watch all those pro games without me?" I said, "Yeah, but I'll be watching them with a cold beer."
Absolute pleasure. One of the best people and smartest people I've ever met in this business, and you've always treated not only people behind the scenes here, interns, producers, nobody sees, but I just want to put it out there. You treated me great, and I appreciate it, Coach.
Colin, I loved every minute of it, and thank you. I appreciate it. And, hey, thanks to Fox Sports. I mean, it was really the best time of my entire career. And you mentioned it, the Hall of Fame college, Hall of Fame pro, Hall of Fame broadcasting. The best time of my career was with Fox Sports.
Great to see you, Jimmy. Thanks, man. The great Jimmy Johnson.